Hey, what's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at this $450 gaming laptop that I recently picked up on an early Black Friday deal from Walmart. And in this video, we're going to test it out and see if it's really worth picking one of these up. Now, on paper, at $450, this is actually looking like a really good deal. We have a 9th gen i5 CPU with a GTX 1650, and it's actually one of the cheapest gaming laptops with a dedicated GPU that I've seen in a very, very long time. So this was up on their early Black Friday sale. It's still listed on their website at $450, and you can do the get in stock alert if you really want to get one of these. Another early sale is coming up, and we also have Black Friday, so I do expect these to go back on sale for the same price. So I've had a few days to mess around with this, and overall it's been a solid performance. Definitely not a super high-end laptop. All we're working with here is that 1650. It's not even the Ti, but it is a 4GB GDDR5 GTX 1650, and it's very capable of gaming. It's got a 60Hz 1080p IPS display, great trackpad, LED backlit keyboard. It's not RGB, it's only going to be green on you. Personally, I kind of like the look of this color scheme here. Black and green goes together really well in my opinion. Laptop itself is all plastic here. There's no metal lid, there's no metal bottom, but at a $450 price tag, I think the build quality on this thing is top notch at that price point. Around the back here, we do have dual exhaust vents, and both of these are fully functional. On the left-hand side, we have a full-size HDMI port, single USB 3.1 port, gigabit Ethernet, USB Type-C, and a full-size SD card reader. Taking a look at the right-hand side, we have our power in, headphone jack, and 2 extra USB 3.0 ports. Like I mentioned, the laptop is constructed of plastic, and I really didn't expect any more for the price point here, but we do have a dual fan setup with that dual exhaust coming out the back, and I think we have plenty of ventilation here to get air into this unit to cool that GTX 1650. And the unit also comes with a 150 watt power supply. So this is the HP 15DK0096WM. For the CPU, we have the i5 9300H, 4 cores, 8 threads, base clock of 2.4 GHz, boost up to 4.1. 8 GB of DDR4 RAM from the factory, but this can be upgraded to 16. For the GPU, we have that GTX 1650. It's a 4GB model with GDDR5 memory. A pre-installed 256GB NVMe. This can also be upgraded. It's got a 15.6-inch 1080p IPS display and a 52.5 watt-hour battery. They're claiming 8 hours of video playback out of something like this, but if you're stressing that battery out with that GTX 1650, you could expect to get as little as 2 hours of gameplay out of this thing on battery power, and that's just how it is with these laptops. Alright, so here we are. I've installed a bunch of stuff to test here, and overall I'm really enjoying this little laptop, especially for the price. As you can see, we have the i5 9300H at 2.4 GHz with a boost up to 4.1. I personally haven't seen it boost to 4.1, but 4 GHz is very common with this little unit. 8 gigs of DDR4 at 2667. One slot is being used right now, so getting up to 16 gigs will be pretty easy. Just throw another 8 gig stick in here. One of the main downsides to getting a laptop like this is the built-in storage. Most of the time it's really low, and on this one it's 256 gigabytes. It's really not a lot at all. So this is something I would definitely upgrade down the road, but it'll get you by with a few games at first. And finally, we have the Nvidia GeForce GTX 1650, and if I scroll down here, you can see it's the 4 gig model. We also have the built-in Intel UHD 630 graphics, and when we're using this as a basic computer, this is what it's going to utilize, and it does a really great job with 4K video playback, web browsing, and things like that. And speaking of 4K video playback, I usually always like to test if I will be using it as a laptop, so I wanted to see what we could do with it besides game. And if I turn on Stats for Nerds, we are at 4K. Couple drop frames on the initial load in, but overall, I mean, it's super steady. And I expected this little chip to handle 4K video playback really well, be it Netflix, YouTube, or even streaming from Plex. This happens to be a 5K video, so we'll just take it up. And I'm pretty sure it's going to also handle that just fine. Skip ahead a bit here. So 4K, 5K video streaming on this device is going to be no issue whatsoever, but we only have that 1080p screen, so you might just want to stick at 1080p. I also ran a couple basic benchmarks. First up, we have Geekbench 5. Next up, we have 3D Mark Firestrike. And finally, 3D Mark Time Spy. So taking a look at those three benchmarks, it's definitely not the highest that I've seen, but at this price point for a decent little laptop, I think it's looking pretty good. Now it's time to move over to some PC gaming. I tested out 10 games and I got about a 20 to 24 second clip for each. I will have Afterburner running up in the top left hand corner as long as the game allows it. With some of these I may be using the built-in frame counter, but overall I'm pretty impressed with this little setup. First up, we have CSGO 1080p, high settings. I do have Afterburner running in the background, but unfortunately we can't run it on top of CSGO anymore. At the end of my run here, I was averaging 148 FPS. Next up, we have Rocket League 1080p, high settings, on average 197 FPS. Overwatch 1080p, high settings with the resolution scaling set to 100%, on average 131 FPS. I was actually expecting a little more out of this game because it is a bit older, but I really can't complain about the performance here, and in the end we're only really working with a 60 Hz display, so locking this at 60 is going to run all day. Forza Horizon 4, I do have the FPS up in the top right hand corner. I'm using the built-in frame counter. On average, we got 68 FPS, medium settings, 1080p. Not the best performance that I've seen, but it's definitely playable like this, and I still think it looks great at medium settings. So here's Doom Eternal, and I've personally had really good luck with the Vulkan backend on the desktop version of the 1650, so I figured we'd get good performance here. And at 1080p medium settings, we're averaging 82 FPS. I also wanted to throw Fall Guys in here, 1080p, maximum settings, it's going to run at 60 all day long. With GTA 5 1080p, I really couldn't run this game with everything set to high settings, so I kind of went through, and it's a mix of high and normal settings, but once I got it right, I was getting an average of 73 FPS. Crysis Remastered 1080p with a mix of medium and low settings. I still couldn't get a constant 60 FPS out of it. By the end, I was averaging 54 FPS, but you'll see it dip down to the 40s. So I would personally suggest turning the game down below at 1080p, and it still looks great. One of my favorite games of all time, this is Skyrim Special Edition, high settings, 1080p. You're going to get a constant 60 out of it. It is fully playable on this laptop with that GTX 1650.
Where'd you come from?
And the final game I have here is Dauntless, 1080p, medium settings. I will admit that I just went in here with medium settings. It looks like you may be able to run this at 60 high settings, or a mix of high and medium. So far, given the price point of this laptop, I'm really impressed with the performance. The only downside that I'm seeing here is the internal storage, so I kind of wanted to take a look in here. It's easy enough to get to. There's only 7 screws on the bottom. The bottom will pop right off, and there is a spot for a 2.5-inch drive, so I could throw another SSD in here without even touching the M.2. And there is another SODIMM slot, so upgrading to 16 gigs would be pretty easy and pretty inexpensive nowadays. Over on the right hand side, we do have easy access to that M.2 if you want to upgrade it, but we do have that spot for a 2.5 inch drive. This is just a dummy drive here. I would just throw in a 1 terabyte 2.5 inch SSD and call it a day. I would leave that M.2 alone right now, and maybe down the road if you ever wanted to upgrade it, you can get to it pretty easily. And this uses 2666 SODIMM RAM. You can pick this up pretty cheap on Amazon. So upgrading the storage and the RAM is pretty simple on this unit. And as for the cooling, I think they did a pretty good job here. We have that dual fan setup. The highest temperatures that I saw out of the CPU was while I was playing Overwatch. It did spike up to 96 degrees Celsius, which does seem pretty hot, but it started coming right back down. And on average, while playing games, it's around 84 to 86 degrees Celsius, which really isn't that bad. Now the fans are kicked on because it's trying to cool that CPU and the GPU at the same time. So it's definitely not a silent experience while you're gaming, but doing everyday tasks, these fans hardly kick on at all. If you want to watch some 4K video playback, do some light image editing, some school work, those fans are not going to kick up, and the whole unit itself stays really cool. So do I recommend this laptop at that $450 price tag? I say jump on it. If you don't already have a gaming laptop and you're looking for something like this at a good price, $450 is really hard to beat, especially given the performance we're getting out of it. Now, it's not a super high-end $1,600 laptop, and going into this, you got to know that you're not going to be able to run Red Dead Redemption at 1080p ultra settings on something like this, but low, medium settings for most games at 1080p is perfectly possible on this laptop, and I have to say this is actually one of the best deals that I've seen, be it new or used, on a laptop with specs like this. So yeah, if you're in the market for an entry-level gaming laptop, it's really hard to beat a deal like this during Black Friday, so I'd say go ahead and pick this up. You won't be disappointed with it. So that's pretty much it for this video. I really appreciate you watching. I know there's going to be a lot of questions out there. People are going to want to see other things running on this, and I can plan another video, so just let me know in the comments what you think about this deal and what you want to see running on this laptop, and I'll get another video made. But that's it for this one, and like always, thanks for watching.